You couldn't leave the reserve unless you had a pass from the Indian agent.
It kept people away from their children at residential school. It kept them out of towns and cities where, economic prosperity could happen, and, ended up affecting, I think, today a very unbalanced situation of social segregation and incarceration.
The documentary, The Pass System, tells us how, for over 60 years, the Canadian government forced First Nations people to carry passes to be allowed to leave their reserve. This system, which is more associated with apartheid South Africa, was implemented in Canada and had detrimental effects on thousands of children, women, and men.
What happened here on many levels was very brutal. Colonization is never a polite thing, and this was a little-known program that needed to be exposed. The government said it was an illegal program. The Rcmp was the only institution ever to oppose the system, and it affected generations of families.
The process was they had to see the farm instructor. The farm instructor would make a recommendation for them to get a pass. They would go to see the Indian agent, where the Indian agent would sign a pass. They'd be allowed then to proceed.
Alex Williams grew up in Saskatchewan. As a non-Aboriginal, he felt he had the responsibility to expose this dark chapter in Canadian history. The filmmaker attended a screening of his movie at the Canadian Museum of History.
I thought that needed to be exposed. People needed to know what the government had done and what was done in settlers' names to take and control the land.
We can leave and go to cities left and right, but there are people in this country that needed permission to leave what is in essence their communities. So that was a very big surprise for me. I knew about residential schools, but I never knew that this kind of segregation existed in Canada.
Former National Chief of the Assembly of First Nations, Phil Fontaine, was not surprised to see members of the audience hearing for the first time of the pass system. For him, it is because the real story of Canada is not being taught to students of Canadian history.
The origin story of Canada is simply not true. Canada wasn't founded by just the French and the English. That story is absent the very important and integral contribution of Indigenous peoples to the founding of Canada. And so I believe we have an opportunity to fix this in 2017. And so I look forward to Canada's response to the proposition that we've actually presented.
What we need to understand is that a lot of the stories about the pass system are from oral history, are from community history, and those stories need to be told, need to be heard in order for us to really understand the impact of the system. There's no other way to do it.
So we've always been affected by the Indian agents in our community. We've always been affected by, the pass system. What we just seen tonight, like that was integral in our community, and how basically our parents weren't allowed to come visit us at residential school.
The pass system will be the subject of a display in the new Canadian History exhibition set to open on July 1st, 2017 at the Canadian Museum of History. For CPAC, I'm Philippe Murat.